The episode picks up naturally where the cliffhanger left us off last time, with the potential death of Badger and Fox, and Toad pointing out that he can see something in the water. And then we see...
Ah! Is that Badger?
And it's Badger, cheating death once again, and not for the last time either. Oh crap, he's drowning, and he just fell over a waterfall. And this isn't a Badger mascot that's bruised its tailbone, so let's go after him. So the animals engage in what might be the most fuzziest and also most dysfunctional river rescue in the world. I mean, with the upbeat music playing and Toad's coaching advice to Badger, it just feels weird. Regardless, the animals manage to get him free of the weeds and bring him to shore. Unfortunately...
How's, Fox?
Who knows?
Drowned, I should think.
Oh no.
Yes, it seems that our fearless leader has taken a dive for the worst. We should take this time to mourn our loss and think about the fact that... Nah, I'm just kidding, he's very much alive, and almost better off, as we'll see in the next episode. But of course this leaves the group with a conundrum.
What are we going to do if Fox really is lost?
Elect another leader, of course.
Fox never named a successor.
Badger will lead us. Who else? I doubt if Badger's up to it after his latest experience.
I led the rescue party.
No, you didn't. I did.
Seems we have several pretenders to the throne.
The fourth wall breaking snake is right. We're going to have a coup if this carries on. So Adder and Owl once again engage in a conversation about power. And you know, despite what I said last time, these two are really interesting together. They have good chemistry as friends, and they kind of act like the Snape and Malfoy of the group, constantly talking about the other characters behind their backs and discussing things that they probably shouldn't do, and Adder is always acting as the little devil on Owl's shoulder.
Badger as leader.
Too slow and stupid.
A bird would be a more sensible choice.
You mean Kestrel?
Kestrel? Oh, no. She hasn't the common touch.
Whereas you have.
What are you getting at, Adder?
Just raising you, Owl. And you're wise enough to know when someone's winding you up.
What? Are you saying?
I'm just saying how wise you are.
You're in there. Of course, Kestrel eventually manages to find Fox, but then we cut to Toad giving Mole swimming lessons for no reason. I know critics make this joke a lot, but I really feel like the writer or the editor had ADD here. It's like one of them knew that he had to get to the important stuff, but then he forgot and then he decided to focus on this instead, and it's really quite annoying. But then a pike shows up, which I guess is kind of exciting, but I still want to know what would happen to Fox right now. In any case, we do get ourselves a little bit of an interesting set piece.
Tony! Stop fixing me!
Over here, matey!
Oh, hello, Toad.
Quick as you can, matey!
What was it?
Pike, matey. Nasty things, pike. Swallow you whole, that could. Thanks, matey.
Okay, well enough of that scene. Back to Fox and... What, is he a magician? How the hell did he disappear like that? And you can't say he fell into the water. They would be able to see him float away even if he did. What, is there a black hole above the bridge or something and he decided to go star in a bingo ad for a few days? In any case, Fox has now completely disappeared, and so the animals now need to pick a new leader. But first...
don't mind if I snuggle down beside you, do you?
Ooh, you slimy harlot. But before she can reenact Car's song from the Jungle Book, the animals run off.
Who needs friends?
Kestrel! Is that you? Did you find Fox?
Yes. After a while I saw him, clinging to some driftwood, and then as the river broadened, he floated on through pleasure boats and steamers until he reached a bridge.
What happened?
He floated underneath it, but when the driftwood came out the other side, Fox was no longer on it. I waited and waited. I even flew under the bridge and called for him. He wasn't there.
Maybe you should have actually done something rather than watching the log float down like a turd in a water pipe.
I see. Well, in that case, there's no point in waiting here any longer. We must move on.
Move on? But what if Fox came back and we weren't here?
If Fox is alive,
Not very likely.
he'll find us. Meanwhile, I'm quite sure he would want us to continue on our journey.
I'm pretty sure what he would want is for you to come and find him. But the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, and now the animals take charge under their new leader, Badger, who seems to have taken charge just by himself, blocking out Owl's chances, and decide to move to their next destination.
Seems we're all going to play at Follow My Leader, Owl. Only Badger's the one that's leading.
It seems that Adder wants Owl to be leader, but I honestly can't think why. Maybe it's because they share the same diet. After all, I found out from my experience that it's very easy to make friends with people with the same dietary requirements as you. But the animals press on to White Deer Park, lamenting the loss of their leader all the way.
Come on, mateys. Hee, grass is nice and springy here, just like I remembered. Sorry I'm so slow. Not at all, Toady. The hares are just enjoying themselves, that's all.
I don't know how they can.
Now, don't take on, Moley, old thing. We don't know Fox is dead. Perhaps even now he's making his way back to us.
That's the spirit, George. If nothing else works, then a total pig-headed unwillingness to look facts in the face will see us through.
Oh, dear. I do feel tired.
I'm not surprised, you nearly drowned an hour ago and now you're moving around again. Take a rest, man.
Think I may have stepped on a thorn. My paw will be so swollen up in less than an hour that I won't be able to walk at all.
Well, I can't carry you. Suppose I bit you. Then everyone would be sorry for you.
No thanks. I'm all right, really.
Seems like the fear of death has gotten to him. The ultimate motivator. Or the ultimate mind killer, depending on what planet you're from.
Cheer up! Things aren't so bad. We've come a long way, you know. Yes, a long way from Farthing Wood.
That's one thing, actually. I'm actually curious about how far these guys have travelled. I mean, certain fields and marshes in England can span up to a massive amount of land, several miles across, end to end, so I just really want to know how far they've come. But the book and the show and fan speculation hasn't yielded anything, so I guess we'll never know.
What's happened, Toady? I don't know. Halt!
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 Oh, it's like a train pile-up in Victoria Station.
Something wrong? No. We're all right so far. It's just oh dear, I don't know where to go next.
Have we taken a wrong turning?
No. I remembered everything, clear as day. As we came along, I don't know. I feel sure we should go straight ahead, but something keeps pulling me to the left.
And so, now we get one of the more complex and, in a way, more idiotic element of Toad's character, his inability to figure out where he's going. Now, one could argue that that's because he's going backwards from the way he came from White Deer Park to Farthing Wood, and in terms of where he was on his journey from there to Farthing Wood, it would have been further away, so he naturally might have forgotten. Now that's a very sound and plausible theory, but of course that isn't the actual reason, and we'll find out what it is later on. Realistically, the only reason they even introduce this element is so that they don't go too far away from where Fox is, so that he can catch up with them easier, and to extend the story. So the animal train... Ooh, I like that. I think that's what I'm going to call the group from now on. So the animal train moves on, regardless of Toad's lack of assurance, and go wandering off into the great unknown once again.
It's no good.
Then why are you smiling?
It feels all wrong somehow. I'm just not comfortable, mateys.
Well, why don't you lie down until you feel more comfortable?
Shall we try the other direction? I don't know, matey. If you say so. Moving on!
Moving on.
Mrs. Vole, I really don't think I can go on. It's terribly inconvenient. But I rather think I'm due for a happy event.
Yes, another crisis that has arisen in Fox's absence, the happy event. I'll just break the tension and say it right now. Mrs. Mouse is pregnant and is about to give birth. Which I could see happening on a journey like this, but I do wonder how long she's been pregnant for, and now she's only just noticed. Also, does that mean that Mouse and his wife had sex during the journey, and that's how they were conceived? Because that seems like something very inappropriate to do on a journey of this dire nature. So now Badger has two worries to have now that he's leader. The fact that he has no sense of direction from his guide, and the fact that he's also going to need to slow down the train because they weren't expecting to need a family carriage.
Badger! Badger!
What is it, Owl?
You're going round in a circle.
Oh dear, mateys, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You're heading back to the river.
Oh dear, what can have happened?
Typical. It's very simple, really. Toad's homing instinct has come into play, that's all.
My homing instinct?
That's correct. Just as it did when you were captured and taken far away. It led you back to your birthplace in Farthing Wood then, and it's doing so now.
Yep, that's the excuse for Toad's misguidance. He's trying to go home subconsciously because of his homing instinct. Now in fair, I could see this happening because many animals are affected by this kind of thing, and they are going far away from home. The problem is that the only person this affects is Toad, no one else. No one else has their homing instincts kicked in. I just say this because it feels as if they should all be complaining that they'd either want to go home or veer off of the trail. I'm just saying that this is too big of a trait to only affect one animal in an entire group. Although there was another reason this was brought up other than making the animals veer off course slightly, in that it was meant to show that Badger is not cut out to be as good of a leader as Fox is, which this event does actually show, even if it is a bit contrived, so I have to give them credit on that one. Under the advice of Owl now, the animals retrace their steps back to the path of White Deer Park, and it seems that Toad has regained his memories through that event.
That's right. I remember it now. There was a lot of scrubland. Good. Well, shall we move on?
Excuse me?
What is it here?
There's been a happy event.
The field mice have had babies, of course.
Babies! How lovely!
Delicious, eh, Ada?
So, what do we do now, Badger?
Perhaps it's time we all had a rest. It is drawing near nightfall, after all.
I can feel for Badger here. Being the leader of a group is never easy, especially if the group that you're leading are never that cooperative. Nevertheless, the animals manage to find themselves a nice copse, and they take their rest under a big old oak tree at about 2:45. And ironically, a murder most foul will be happening here. Though I don't think any of the victims here will be taken to a world where they get to be sung by Sammy Davis Jr. Skeleton.
Wouldn't it be nice if we could find a home here? In instead of going on to White Deer Park.
None of this would have happened in Fox's time.
How could a fox prevented a pregnancy? He's not some kind of eugenics supervisor. Stop praising him like he's some sort of vermin messiah. Nevertheless, the animals decide that a bunch of baby mice will definitely slow down their journey, and they decide that it'd probably be best if they left the mice here.
And how are we supposed to travel with a lot of baby mice? We go slowly enough as it is.
I shall advise Badger to leave the mice behind.
I'm sorry, matey. It's all my fault. Not at all, old thing. And now, babies. If we were at White Deer Park, I'd be pleased. But on the journey, what shall we do?
I think the mice might want to stay behind.
Well, I'm not going to let them. Look what happened to the newts. And yet, how can we go on with them, matey? I wonder what Fox would do.
Do you think we'll ever see him again, Badger?
He'll make his way back to us if he can, Moley. If only I knew what to do.
Look, a fox!
Hey, you! You got a fox on board!
So how does this episode fare up in relation to the last one? Well, it's definitely got a lot more going for it. It introduces a lot more crises that would become a legitimate concern for a new leader. The loss of Fox, Badger becoming the new leader, Toad's misguidance and the birth of the baby mice. These are all legitimate concerns and things that a new leader who is inexperienced and too old to handle this responsibility wouldn't be able to do anymore, and it definitely helps build foundations for later episodes. The major theme at play here is that of disbandment, the idea that the loss of a leader can help disband an entire group and make it fall apart, and it also gives the chance for Badger to steal the limelight from Fox for a change and show that what he's really capable of. And also that he is not perfect, and that he's not quite as capable as a leader as Fox, and that he does make mistakes. Which does actually make a nice change in some ways. No disrespect to Fox at all, but considering that he is almost perfect in everything he does, despite a couple of mistakes here and there, it definitely makes a nice change up. Overall, this episode definitely gives us everything that we've come to enjoy about the series so far, as well as the introduction of some new elements. But we're only on thin ice so far, as in the next episode, it's really going to crack, with the minor introduction of a new major character,